Hi there. Well, here we are live, and I think that worked. That worked really well. I had a good think about how to start based on the last couple of attempts, and I think that worked well. Once it sorted out. Yes, it wasn't perfect, but actually it's getting there, and it involved. It didn't involve a really complicated macro, but anyway, this is a very new adventure today, and I've hummed and hawed, and that's why it's a little bit later today, because I've procrastinated and I've spent a lot of time trying to find other things to do. And it's amazing what you can find to do when you've got something that perhaps you're not really looking forward to doing, because you're doing something completely outside your comfort zone, and you've got no idea what could happen. You've got no idea whether you're going to be up for the challenge. And even now, I'm thinking I've forgotten to do something. But well, we'll just have to see if it manages to do that. But so here we are, and it's the first of the month, and I thought what I'd do, and it's completely different to what I would normally do, and I thought I'd let you in on how I start the beginning of the month. So it's now in the UK time, it's about 5:45 in the evening. And normally I'd be doing this at 5:45, 6 o'clock in the morning, so 12 hours earlier. But today I thought, and it's been a really busy day, and very rarely am I in this position, I thought I'd actually try and create the piece and during a live video, no pressure, and we'll see what happens. But it also give you an idea of how I start each month, and what the processes are, and actually, here we go. This will give you an inkling into what I'm confronted with at the beginning of every month. And there you go. If we go right the way back here, that's it. Absolutely nothing. So I'm looking now at a completely blank screen of possibilities within Ableton. This is my template, the way it's set up. And if we look, the yellow in the corner is are the strings, the green are vocal, the purple are percussion, the red are brass, the blue woodwind, the green here are world instruments, the yellow are contact instruments. Can't remember what that one is. Electronic. Oh yes, I made a theremin, and then we've got some contact here. That's the thrill that I was using last month. Damage, and then there's a couple of audio ones at the end, which sometimes I have to bounce across to audio, because obviously, how many tracks have I got in here? It's about 224. So there's 224 tracks. It normally takes quite a few minutes for this to load. So if it crashes, that's the other unknown. You know, I was feeling a little bit like Donald Rumsfeld. You know, you've got known unknowns, known knowns, and all of that. So with this, I've got no idea what I'm going to do, no ideas, but I've got things that I've been doing, because I've been basically in this position every month since the beginning of 2013. So that's quite a few blank screens, but never in front of anyone else. but hopefully someone will be able to look at this and think, oh, I wouldn't do it like that, or you might think, oh, I hadn't thought of doing it like that. Which would be good. And actually, if you come up with some ideas and you look at what I'm doing and you think, actually, he hasn't got a clue, he needs to think, he needs to do that, he hasn't learned that, what about that, please put the comments down below, or PM me, if it's nasty, PM me, or if it's yeah, you know, but do let me know, because actually I'm open to learn all sorts of things. And in fact, this experience is very much part of that learning experience, because, you know, I had a good think about how to start. I've had a good think of the logistics of doing this. And what I haven't really done is have a good think about what I'm going to be playing. So what are we going to do? How do I normally start? Sometimes I'll start with something, and I think I did this in March, where I'll start with a percussion instrument. And one of the things that I quite like about percussion is if I want to do something really random, let's just see what this sounds like. And I'll press this because actually sometimes it's really noisy. In fact, I won't press it so you can hear the banging. And then if I switch that, and things like that, which are really good for just having ideas and finding something to do. So things like that. How would that sound? Don't know. Now the other thing that I quite like to do is I like, and one of the things I found is it's really good, and I've been saying this to pupils, especially if you've got this, time at the moment, because we're in lockdown, all the days feel the same, and you haven't necessarily got that structure to the day. Time becomes really important, and also time and how you manage it becomes really important as well. So in music, what we do is we set tempos, and also we give ourselves these constraints, and then work within those constraints, and it actually then is easier to get everything to be coordinated. Just imagine an orchestra with actually I've played a piece that had different time signatures and actually different tempos for different halves of the orchestra. That was an interesting one, where the conductor conducted half the orchestra and the leader conducted the other half of the orchestra, and it was mathematically calculated for us to all finish at the end. And we did, actually. I suppose when you're rehearsing, you start to hear things and you just focus on, and it was a real example of having to focus on the task at hand, which was looking at the person that was conducting you and trusting that they got their timing right so that we'd all end up together. And we did. But so, yes, what I'd normally do is I set myself, I use a metronome. And I normally, and actually I'll probably do that this time. I didn't last month, but I'll give myself, it's the normal 32 bars, so 4-bar phrases, and 8 of those, and it forms it's a sort of a standard pattern really of 4-bar phrases, but it then is easy to start something. Now don't forget that what I do now is going to then be developed over the next 31 days until it culminates at the end of May with something, and hopefully it's developed and it's better, or well, no, not better necessarily, but hopefully there's been a lot of the melodies and the rhythms and the keys have all changed over time, and I think it'll be interesting. So you're here right at the beginning to see what happens to start with. One of the other things that I'm quite keen on when I start a piece is just setting that rhythm in something like the double basses. So I'll do something like, and then so once I get that going, then I can start playing with the cellos over the top. So I can go, now I don't quite know how that sounds for you, but yeah. We'll find out when it's recorded. But also it'll be interesting because if I do that now, just try this. And then I do this. So you may well have heard a herd of elephants during the first one of those, and that's something I mustn't forget to do when I'm recording, certainly when I'm doing this. So anyway, so what we'll do, I think we'll do something like that to start with, and then just see how it develops. Okay, so put the metronome on, and then we need to set this off. Actually, let's just play for a bit, really. Get used to. That's not what I intended to happen. That was actually that was yesterday's piece, which you did hear at the introduction. But there you go. That's just stopped that from setting. Wow, that gave me a shock. Okay, so let's just go back, and we're just going to play that with the metronome. And I just want to get a feel for the tempo so that I can then find out what I'm going to do. So something like that. Now, in fact, they've got a really good thing in Ableton where you can press this and it remembers what you've done. And then you can sort of see what goes on. One of the things a little note for me to learn for next time is what that's done is it's remembered what I've just played. And what I'll do is I'll select all of that, because I think, and we'll find out if that was 7-bar phrase or 16-bar phrase, and then we never know, that might be a good, that might be it. So let's have a look. Not it completely for the day, because right, okay, we'll move that back. So we've now got, and it is a 17-bar phrase. Now I think I forgot to switch the microphone off there, so it was probably a little bit noisy and a bit bangy for you when you're listening. I can't hear it with these headphones on, because these headphones are recording studio headphones, and they don't bleed sound, so I can hardly hear anything. Actually, I've got no idea what I'm talking about. I've got no idea what I'm saying. Right, okay, here we go. So we'll just listen to this. So what you could do, and what I could do, and in fact actually today that might be an idea, is that doesn't sound too bad. It sounds a little bit out of time. So what we'll do is we'll quantize that, and then we can, let's just have a look at the settings, make sure before I press the button that it doesn't all go all over the place. So hopefully, let's have a listen to see what that sounds like. Okay, so that doesn't sound too bad. So what we'll do, it's all quite loud actually. Let's just, So what I'm doing now is I'm thinking, what shall I put over the top? Let's just try some sustained strings. Interesting, wasn't it? That actually, when at the end, when I played an F sharp with the D, it actually, you heard what the note was at the bottom. Because up until then, I think it felt a little bit ambiguous, and you can tell that I'm doing a recording at a different time of day than I normally do because I've got the sun coming in and making shapes on my head. Right. Okay. I don't know about that. Let's just try that again. Actually, let's go with that, because actually one of the things about this, it's about experimentation. So that might not be what we end up with later on in the month, but the idea today is to just put something down and then see if we can get something that's relatively reasonable. See, one of the things I'm doing there is I'm just making sure the notes are the right length. I think what we're doing is we're doing 8-bar phrases, just long sustained notes. And what I'm wanting to do now is just make sure, just tidying them up so that they work. And it's getting all the automation sorted as well. But let's just try this. That should be a little bit better. So what I've been doing there, and actually I suppose what I should be doing is talking about it while I'm doing it, but and hopefully, no, you can't see, because what I need to do is press that button. Oh, let's come over here, and we want to go to there, so you can, there you go. Now you can see all of the automation in that was below the picture there. So what we'll do is we need to delete these, because actually at the end there we want that note to be, and we want to make that, so I'm pressing out and I'm bending it like that so it makes a smoother diminuendo, and then at the end I want to make that come down as well, so I'm going to stick a point in there, bring that down, and we're going to press out and we're going to make that a nice curve instead of a straight line. And in fact, talking of that, this was where I deleted this earlier, and I'm going to, sometimes those straight lines sound quite nice at the beginning, so what we'll do is we'll just have a listen to that. Sometimes what I like to do as well, especially if I'm trying to do things really fast, is, and I know a lot of people don't do this, is I just copy and then cut that and move it into another instrument, and we'll put that there and we'll hear what it sounds like. I think the celeste is probably a little bit high, so we're going to bring that down an octave. And let's just have a look and see what that sounds like with that added. Can you see it just adds a little ring to the beginning of the note? Actually, I can't hear that, the beginning of that. I wonder if it's lined up. Let's just move. In fact, let's just solo that so I can hear it, make sure it's sounding. Yeah, that's okay. What we'll do is we'll increase the velocity of that note, and then so you can hear it when it comes in with the strings, and then we'll do this. There you go. So that's starting to sound like something at the moment. It'll be interesting to see how it develops over the month. One of the other things I quite like to do, because I don't like things repeating, it's got to sound different. So the second half, so what I'll do is I'll copy the first violins, paste them into the seconds. Hopefully all the automation's still there, but I'm not sure. But we'll delete the first half. and we'll bring down the second half by an octave. In fact, that needs to come there, and really that needs to go there. So let's have a listen to see if that's made the whole thing completely wrong. But let's have a listen. See what happened there? Because I moved it to a different track, moved it from sort of strings in general to first violins. All of the, I suppose, the articulation changed, and you went into a tremolo. But actually, that could be an idea for the second half. And so what we might do is, let's have a look. If we do that there, we can. And if we then, for the second half, we'll change that to tremolo there, so that it changes halfway. But for the second violins, when they come in, I don't want that to be tremolo. I just want it to reinforce an octave lower, and we'll make sure that they start on the right footing, and we'll stick a. There you go. Let's have a listen to that. See, something's not quite working there, because you can actually it does need to be down there. Now you can see there's one note there where they come in here, where it needs to diminuendo, the note just comes to a complete stop. And what we'll do is we'll delete these and get it to come down. Should get rid of that and then do a nice curve again. So I'm using the Alt and dragging it, and then we'll use Control and bring that there. And then we need to make sure, because I know the second violins are doing exactly the same, we need, and there's nothing wrong with doing the whole, there's something that's what's doing it. Right, okay. Brilliant. Okay, so we now need to select all of that, and we'll just make sure they're all doing the right, or the same phrase, and we'll copy that envelope and we'll move that into the second violins, and then hopefully that should all tie in quite nicely. You can see that the second violins, it's exactly the same problems here actually. So if we go like that, so I can't drag before, go like that, I've got that, copy the envelope, actually no, it's this one that needs copying, copy the envelope, and then I need to make sure that's the danger of doing it this way, is if you copy the wrong one, then it's very easy, and you can see there that diminuendo in this area here is now there. So let's have a listen and see what that sounds like. One of the things I also like to do is doubling the string, or doubling the first violins with the flute. So I'm now going to copy the first violin bit and I'm going to stick that with the flutes, and I'm going to use this track here with that's woodwind all, and that's piccolo, but we're going to stick it in here, and that should make a complete difference. Need to get rid of these articulation switches at the bottom, and that's all in time. What we need to do now, just make sure the expression is the same, and we can copy and paste that. And then we've got to, and okay, I'm copying and pasting, but actually if it doesn't quite work, then I'm changing it between the instruments so that it sounds real. Okay, let's copy that envelope and we'll move that into the flutes. What you'll hear now is that this, with the flutes added, it should sort of fill out the sound. Let's have a listen. Here we go. There you go. Did you see what I did then? I just copied the flutes into the piccolos and put the piccolos up an octave and added, and then deleted the first half. So now what we've got is we've got the cellos or the double basses doing what we started with, and we've got the first violins and flutes playing all the way through, and then halfway through the second violins come in an octave below the flute and first violins, and the piccolo comes in an octave above, which fills out the body. At the moment, it's all very it's unison, isn't it? So, but this is how I start really, and gradually over the course of a month, it'll develop into all sorts of things. At the moment, we're just using strings. We haven't used any. Well, we have used the celeste. We haven't used any brass. We haven't used any percussion, any drums and things. We haven't used any woodwind. Haven't used any ethnic instruments. And one of the things, if anyone's been listening to what I was up to last month, one of the instruments that I love using is the duduk, and I've got one somewhere, but it's not me playing on this. I did play it about 8 years ago on a recording, and one of the things I found when I first started doing this is because I was doing it very early in the morning, it was very difficult to actually play proper instruments at about 5:30 with everyone else asleep, and it didn't go down well. And then also the thing I found was it was difficult to warm up at that time in the morning as well, because of the time constraints. So that was one of the reasons why I went on to just doing it with orchestral sounds. And at that stage, I didn't really know anything about orchestral sounds, and that was very much the beginning of the journey. Let's just have a listen to this again, and I will talk about sort of how that journey's been. But here we go. So let's just have a listen to this. So what we're listening for, and in fact, I want to make sure that the volume automation goes into the piccolo as well, and then so everything now is using the same volume automation, and we're going to copy that envelope, we're going to move that into the piccolos. Lots of people would think, oh no, what's he doing, why is he doing that? And because sometimes actually, and it's nice to be able to play and actually move the faders in time with the music and actually create that realism, and I really appreciate that. But certainly with this orchestral sound set, I can't do that for some reason. With these woodwind instruments. Anyway, let's just have a listen to this dynamic contrast on here, and then we. And that's one of the things I quite like doing. So let's just try that again. I'm just going to play around, and then actually we'll call this one a day. When just have a listen to this, because this might be what I do tomorrow. yeah, what do you think of that? Actually, what I'll do is I'll keep that, and then I'll have a think about what to do with that tomorrow. That could be something. I don't know. Just do it so it starts at the beginning. So there you go. So that's very much a very early taster of what I've done, and I'm probably not doing as much as I would normally do, or perhaps it's realistic. But really, the whole idea of today was to eat that frog, as Brian Tracy would say, eat that frog, and go for a live broadcast with a blank screen and just see what happens, and then and see what I'm like at describing what I'm doing and talking about what I'm doing, because it's going to be interesting for me to watch the recording of this and then do my own critiques as well. The other thing I'm always doing is encouraging people to do exactly this, and it's coming out of your comfort zone and doing it. But also it could be instructive, and just you might see something that I'm doing and it might reinforce the way that you do it as well, and you might sort of say, yes, no, I can really understand that. The thing I'm really pleased about this recording is that the beginning, once I'd sorted out, the same thing happened again, but which I thought I'd sorted, and I think I know what happened again, and it's to do. I know what it is. It's to do with having the 3 bits of software and pressing one, and then the other one not being ready to press the 2. And but hopefully that'll be right tomorrow. But we'll see. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what your comments are about the style of this and what you think about the beginning of the process, because obviously this is very raw, and you know, it hopefully will develop. You know, well, we'll see what actually lasts the rigor of the next 31 days, and then we can find out. Then you can see what my process is, what my thought processes are, and it gives me an opportunity to just to see what my thought processes are as well. So thank you very much for listening, and thank you for watching, and yeah, let me know what you think. Cheers.